We are organizing this online brokerage together with our Lithuanian partners. I'm Ulla Napa from Estonian Research Council, and the aim of today's event is to meet potential partners for your future projects. So what we plan today is that we briefly introduce the Green Deal topics, we briefly introduce what we know about LIFE program so far, and then it's up to you to present your project ideas, your interests, and so on. Could we go to the next slide, please? We will have some welcome remarks. Then we will briefly introduce the Green Deal and LIFE goals. And after that, after each of the block of the presentation, so after the Green Deal goals and after the LIFE program, we will take some questions as well. And at the same time, you are very welcome to post your questions to the chat. But I would give now word to my colleague Brigitta from LINO office for welcome as well.
Thank you, Ulla, for the introduction, and thank you for the cooperation. Indeed, this brokerage is a joint endeavor, and that's the first time we do brokerage online, so it's an experiment in a sense, and thank you everyone for joining this experiment. As Ulla already mentioned, we were overwhelmed actually by the number of registered participants, those who were interested to pitch the ideas and all just observe others to explore the possibilities. So everything is fine. In fact, we had 215 registrations from 28 countries. And we will have 35 pitchers from 15 countries. So it's indeed an international event, not only Estonian and Lithuanian. So very welcome everyone who took this challenge on, especially the pitchers, because to present an idea in 2 minutes, that's a challenge. We also invited Marius Vaščega, the head of cabinet of Commissioner Virginijus Sinkevičius for Environment, Oceans and Fisheries. And I don't see if he is already here. Could be that something unexpected.
I should be here if you can hear me.
So now it's the perfect time for you to say some welcome remarks to this very broad international audience. The floor is yours.
Very good. I just connected a few seconds ago and immediately on the stage. Very, very nice to be here. Look, I think let me start by quoting someone. Let me start by saying by quoting Robert Swan, and this is the person who was the first in history to walk to both poles. And he once said that the greatest threat to our planet is the belief that someone else will save it. So I'm honored to be here with you today to talk about an action plan, the Green Deal, and its support tool, which is the LIFE program, that can contribute to reverse this belief and to inspire our action for the planet. The Green Deal, as you know, is a core priority of the European Commission, and it is often associated to the objective of achieving climate neutrality by 2050. But it goes well beyond this objective. It also contains a package of measures such as biodiversity strategy for 2030, for the preservation and restoration of our natural capital, a zero pollution action plan for air, water, and soil, a sustainable chemical strategy to ensure a toxic-free environment. So the Green Deal is not only about the welfare of the planet and the health of inhabitants. It's about many more things. It also proposes a genuine strategy for economic growth because it provides for the opportunities to develop global competitive advantages through new green technologies, clean energy, sustainable products, innovative services. And for that, it contains initiatives such as a new circular economy action plan to target the reduction and reuse of materials before recycling, or an industrial strategy to address the twin challenges of the green and digital transformation. Now, when we come to energy, the production and use of energy across economic sectors account for more than 75% of the EU's greenhouse gas emissions. So decarbonization of the EU's energy system is critical to reach our climate objectives, and some principles guide the action towards the transition to clean energy. First, we think that energy efficiency must be prioritized. So that's, for example, the reason why we launched the Renovation Wave initiative. And this is the initiative which aims to at least double renovation rates towards higher energy and resource efficiency in the next 10 years. Second, we think that the power sector must be largely based on renewable sources. And in this connection, on 19th November, just 11 days ago, we have presented the offshore renewables energy strategy. Third, the EU's energy supply needs to be secured and affordable for consumers and businesses. And this implies that the clean energy transition should benefit consumers. And the risk of energy poverty, by the way, must be also addressed for households. This is also an important angle. Fourth, a fully integrated and interconnected EU energy market must be based on a more efficient, but also on circular system where waste energy is captured and reused. So let me say that the Green Deal is probably the biggest challenge of our time, and we are all involved. And we are actually all actors of this transition. And LIFE program can provide a concrete support to our actions, because this is the only EU program dedicated exclusively to the environment and climate action. It will contribute 100% to the Green Deal. It is a small program, and so it does not have the ambition to solve all climate and environmental problems, but its role is to support the testing and demonstration of solutions and the application of good practices to address environmental challenges. In other words, as part of the innovation process, LIFE lies between research programs such as Horizon Europe, which supports research and innovation efforts, and structural funds, which are conceived to widespread the implementation of innovative practices, approaches, technologies. Most of the LIFE budget is dedicated to the financing of projects presented by very different actors. 1/3 of projects come from public authorities, 1/3 are private sector actors, half of them are small and medium-sized enterprises, and 1/3 are non-profit civil society organizations. Just a few words maybe on what are the different sub-programs of the LIFE for better understanding. So the first sub-program is Nature and Biodiversity, and it will contribute to the biodiversity strategy to 2030 and to the Farm to Fork strategy. So here LIFE will continue to support implementation of various conservation, restoration measures on the ground, supporting projects on a vast range of topics, which would cover Natura 2000, habitat restoration, species protection, invasive alien species, pollinators, green infrastructure, etc. The second sub-program is about circular economy and quality of life. And here we want to address resource efficiency, circular economy, clean air, water quality, soil, noise, chemicals. So here we will be speaking about Commission's initiatives such as Circular Economy Action Plan, Zero Pollution Ambition, Toxic-Free Environment. So LIFE, for example, finances projects such as the LIFE cogeneration, that is testing a prototype to generate energy from municipal waste and sewage sludge. The third sub-program focuses on climate mitigation and adaptation. And here we really want to contribute to climate neutrality. And a couple of examples, again, under this sub-program. The Artisan project to increase the resilience to climate change by generalizing the use of nature-based solutions, or the Hyperbrick project that aims at demonstrating the possibility to use waste-based material for manufacturing bricks, which will, reduce substantially greenhouse gases emissions and energy consumption. And the final and yet important fifth sub-program is the Clean Energy Transition sub-program, which will target renewable energy and energy savings. And here it's mainly to support member states and regions to generate the building renovation waves by addressing market barriers, to develop markets and financing for sustainable energy solutions, to enable energy transition of local communities by really paying attention to local energy systems and accelerating the renewable energy generation at consumer side, and various actions like this. So in conclusion, we have a very promising framework with the Green Deal and the possibility of support offered by a number of EU programs, LIFE including, where it's 100% Green Deal financing. So although, you know, it's a difficult period in terms of health crisis, but still we can look for those opportunities. And we can work together on issues that matter in our lives, such as climate change, such as clean energy, such as biodiversity, and move together towards sustainability. So I wish you full success in your endeavors, and thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much from this very nice welcome. Could we go to the next slide, please? So, as I mentioned already in the chat as well, please keep your microphones muted and turn off your camera if you are not speaking. And please type your questions in the chat. We will constantly monitor them. And by the end of the presentations, we will take maybe 1-2 questions if there is still something pending. But we have a lot of experts here, the national contact points, who try to answer the questions. And could we go to the next slide, please? Very briefly about Green Deal calls. So this is not an information day, it's the brokerage event, so the highlight is on you actually. But very briefly, just to remind what this Green Deal was about and about the call areas, I really briefly make a general overview now, and then my colleagues will introduce the calls we choose for today. So the Green Deal call, why it's important? Because we still have the need to tackle the climate crisis and protect the environment and biodiversity. And as mentioned, the Green Deal call as well contributes to EU recovery plan for Europe. It has 10 call areas, and the submission deadline is already at the end of January. And you will find more information from Funding and Tenders portal. So and the submission is as well done online in Funding and Tenders portal. So you will find everything there, all the necessary documents, forms, and so on. Next slide, please. And we mapped with my Lithuanian colleagues and my colleagues from LIFE program some common topics from Green Deal call and LIFE program. And we saw that there are several ones, but the ones which were chosen for today were the biodiversity, circular economy, energy, climate change, and healthy lifestyle. And I'm sure those topics will continue in the new Horizon Europe as well. Next slide, please. And to briefly introduce those 2 programs, we made this slide to show what are the differences between LIFE and Horizon 2020 program. So the Green Deal call is part of the Horizon 2020 program. And some main things which I would stress here are the number of partners, for example, that in LIFE program, minimum number is 1 partner, so everyone can apply. But in Horizon 2020 program, it's minimum 3 partners from different countries. The funding rates are different, so please check the details of the calls. The overhead is different, and the funding, the amount of funding per project, it depends as well from the call. So please check as well the call details. And the both of the programs, they cover very huge range of different types of projects. Different types of projects, for example, from demos to research. And Horizon, of course, is more concentrated on research. I think we can go to the next slide, please. And if you have some questions, you want some help, please contact your national contact points. So we added here the links to Horizon 2020 national contact points, but as well the link to live program NCPs. And those are the people who can really help you, who know the work program very well and who can check your application and help you. So could we go to the next one, please? So we wish you all the best. And now we would go on with thematic presentations. So next slide, please. And the first presenter is my very good colleague, Maria Habicht, who will present you the Green Deal call area number 4, it's energy. So please, Mari.
Yeah, next slide, please. So what I will present today in a very short manner, it is quite tricky to manage in 2 minutes, but it is not less tricky to manage in 5 minutes. So it is area 4, energy and resource efficient buildings. Next slide, please. There is only one topic open under this area. It is building and renovating in an energy and resource efficient way. The total budget of this topic is 60 million euro. The expected contribution from the Commission per one proposal is 10 to 20 million, which means that 3 to 6 proposals are expected to be funded. So during the project, you must move from TRL 5.6 to TRL 7.8. We have here an innovation action, which means that profit-making partners, SMEs, industry, will be funded up to 70%. Non-profit, education, research, public administration will be funded 100%. What is exceptional in this call is that you have page limit of 100 pages. A normal project is 70 pages. So you can see the importance of the topic by allocated additional pages. The specific challenge of this topic can be actually summarized in one sentence. Buildings as zero emission, zero pollution, positive energy powerhouses within green neighborhoods. You can focus on residential, no residential, or mixed use buildings. The tricky thing is here zero pollution. So to help you, the Commission has provided a link to air quality standards, which helps you to identify where you are and where you should reach. Next slide, please. The projects should look at innovations across the whole value chain, starting with the production materials, production processes, and ending up with the final project. So you can look at renovation, you can look at design and construction of new buildings. But you have to bear in mind that as renovation and renovating existing buildings to much better energy efficiency is a political priority, I advise you not to exclude renovation because your competitors may include both and they will have an advantage in front of you. You have to look at least 2 large-scale demos in different regions in Europe. And a very important issue are integrated renewable energy source solutions, which means that it is not just a portion of PV elements somewhere next to the building on the field, but renewable energy source PV elements should become a kind of architectural element. So either wall integrated or roof integrated. So the project should look at on-site energy production and storage, and for storage, second life, electric vehicle batteries can be used. And very important thing is stakeholder involvement and awareness raising, which is called Living Labs here. Those who have been in the projects earlier, they already know the importance of expected impact. Here is a whole page list of expectations of the Commission, which are really a must for you. They include like primary energy saving, investments in sustainable energy, reduction of greenhouse gas emissions and pollutants towards zero, and so on. The projects funded by the Commission must be of high replicability. You must also look at reduction of time and cost of construction and retrofitting, but also the ease of maintenance and the lower price of maintenance. Whatever you innovate or change must not come at the expense of convenience or safety. The text is quite complicated, but there is no hidden agenda, as you know. So for those who will start preparing a proposal, I very much advise to go to the participant portal, to open the topic, to scroll down the page until you reach the place called frequently asked questions. All these tricky expressions like living labs, innovation teams, whatever, are very well explained by the Commission to those who have asked the questions. So this is a place I would advise you to visit. So my 5 minutes are over. Thank you.
Thank you. Could we get the next slide, please? And this is the call area number 6, Farm to Fork. And my good colleague from Estonian Research Council, Katrin Saar, will introduce that part. Katrin, please.
Thank you. Welcome from me also. Can we have next slide? So as mentioned, this area focuses on farm to fork. And next slide, please. So the food production can cause a large pollution. It accelerates climate change, uses a large amount of natural resources, but at the same time, there is a large food produced going to waste. So therefore, there is a high need of a European food system to become more sustainable. And for this, the European Commission has launched a call area 6, Farm to Fork. This topic has 6 subtopics, A to F. You need to choose one of these if you apply under this call area. This is a project type innovation action. So again, for the profit earning companies, industries, the funding rate is 70%. The budget per topic here is 6 to 12 millions. And it is expected to 6 to 12 projects also to be funded. You need to achieve at the end of the project the tier level 5 to 7. And the Commission hopes to fund at least 1 project per subtopic. And each subtopic will have its own ranking list, and hopefully at least the top ranking project will get funded, if it's above the threshold, of course. So next slide, please. So what do you need to keep in mind? This call area is for testing, piloting, demonstrating, innovating systemic solutions. So the systemic solutions have to be sustainable food systems that are sustainable from the economic side, environmental side, and social side, and large emphasis on biodiversity and animal welfare. So you can't forget those 2 aspects. So special conditions under this topic is the systemic solutions, multi-actor approach. It is good if you can include young professionals, SMEs, citizens, food consumers, and of course, cross-sector approach is highly important under this. Limited amount of research is allowed under this topic, but most of your attention should go to the innovation. And you should capitalize on existing testing and demonstration facilities where appropriate. International cooperation is also highly appropriate here, because the food system problems don't end at the European Union border, but there are worldwide problems. And the 2 main strategies that you have to keep in mind is firstly, of course, farm to fork strategy. You need to look at the goals identified there. There are 4 quantitative targets that are listed in the farm to fork strategy, but there are also a number of other non-quantified targets which are also highly important. And of course, you can't forget the Green Deal. Look at the targets and conditions listed there. And if you can, keep in mind also the Common Agricultural Policy and the goals also listed there. So this is all for the farm to fork. If you have any questions, feel free in the chat to type them in and I will answer them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Could we get the next slide, please? So we introduce now the call area number 7. It's about biodiversity, and I would give the word now to Mr. Priit Kilgas. Priit, please.
Yes, hello. So I will introduce this call area number 7. Can I have the next slide, please? Okay, next slide, please. So there is only one topic here under this call area, and that is restoring biodiversity and ecosystem services. So the project size should be 16 to 25 million euros, and the project should demonstrate innovative solutions for large-scale ecosystem restoration to restore biodiversity and ecosystem services. So the innovative solutions could really be technological, social, sustainable financing, and others. And you also have to practically perform ecosystem restoration. So this topic is very much linked to previous projects that have used, for example, nature-based solutions such as LIFE. So you should build an existing experience from such projects, and you should plan budget for this. And very important aspect is how to ensure the sustainability of restoration actions. So you should promote innovative funding, cross-sectoral collaborations, and social participation. And you should also show how the ecosystem restoration can actually ensure just transition so that the communities will benefit from it. And it's actually also important to show how to replicate the upscaling of such restoration activities in other areas. Next slide, please. Yes, so here also international cooperation is encouraged so that you can, the innovations that you develop here can be used outside of Europe as well. And one important aspect is that you have to have the rights, obviously, to undertake the restoration in the area. So you can't use the money to buy land, for example. And important is also here that you should develop joint deliverables with all the projects funded under this topic number 7. And also you should plan cooperation with other projects, such as LIFE, for example. And you should plan funds for that as well. So to ensure that different ecosystems will be covered, the European Commission has said that at least 2 proposals covering terrestrial or freshwater ecosystems and 2 covering coastal or marine ecosystems will be funded. So that is if they are of sufficient quality, if they attain all thresholds. And the impacts also you should really read really carefully and try to achieve almost all of them or as many as you can. And I have just listed 2 here. This topic specifically mentions year 2024, by which first visible results should be seen. But of course, the results will continue to be achieved after that as well. And so the project should demonstrate how transformational change, societal change basically, through ecosystem restoration delivers at large scale. Okay, so that is it from me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Priit. And now we have time for a short question. And I think the only one what is pending in the chat currently is the question, does the Green Deal program finance project costs as well, for example, design materials, workmanship, architects, engineering costs, and so on? To some extent is my answer, and you can always check the model grant agreement for Horizon 2020 projects. It's available if you Google model grant agreement, and it's there is a commented version, and you can check all the costs there. But that kind of costs can be stated, for example, under other direct costs, and as well to some extent to indirect costs as well, because it's the indirect cost is like 25% what is calculated from personnel and other direct costs. But I encourage the NCPs to comment maybe further.
Ülle, may I come in?
Yes, please.
There is a rule that, well, for instance, like the topic in Area 4, that you can find fund everything which is linked to the text of the call. So everything which is innovative. So if the text of the call includes also design, it means that design is a cost you can make here. So you must be careful not to fund your conventional expenses, your everyday expenses, your conventional construction. Everything which is innovative, everything which is listed in the text of the work program is an eligible cost.
Thank you. We have another question. It's should project cover more than one subtopic, or better to cover one in initial evaluation? And Katrin already answered that you can choose only one subtopic. Okay, thank you. And we will now go on with the presentation of a live program. And Krista Tõnisson is today here with us from the Ministry of Environment of Estonia. So Krista, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good afternoon from my side also. Thank you very much, organizers, for organizing this kind of event. Firstly, let me introduce myself. My name is Krista Tõnisson, and I'm working in the Ministry of the Environment of Estonia, and I'm responsible for preparing and implementing different environmental funds and programs in Estonia. And one of my tasks is being the national contact point of LIFE program. And my topic today is LIFE program. Next slide, please. In today's presentation, I'm hoping to cover 3 points. I will give you the overview about LIFE program, applying tips, and finally I will talk a little bit about the new period of the LIFE program. Next slide, please. The LIFE is only EU program with only focus on environment, nature conservation, and climate actions. Since 1992, there has been financed more than 5,000 projects. In current program period, there are 2 sub-programs. Environment sub-program that covers nature conservation and biodiversity, other environmental sectors, and resource efficiency and environmental governance and information. And the climate action sub-program covers climate change mitigation and adaptation, and climate governance and information. The current period budget is 3.4 billion euros, and the budget for next programming period will increase to 5.4 billion euros. Next slide, please. The structure of next period is a little bit different. There will be 2 fields and 4 subprograms. Under the environment field, there will be nature and biodiversity subprogram and environment and resource efficiency subprogram. And under the climate action field, there will be climate change mitigation and adaptation subprogram and the clean energy transition subprogram. The clean energy transition topic is totally new for LIFE program. It will move from Horizon program to the LIFE program, and the reason, and one reason behind that is the LIFE program is more focused on practical solutions. And about the application process in current program period, projects under environmental field have 2-stage application process, and under climate action field there is 1-stage application process. About next period, it is unclear yet which programs will have a 1-stage and which will have 2-stage application process. Next slide, please. All legal institutions can apply standard action projects. The number of partners is not limited. There can be project with 1 partner or more partners. In evaluation process, the relevance of partners is 1 criteria, and projects with international partnerships usually get a higher score. There is no minimum and maximum limits for budget of the projects, but the average project grant is 1 million euros. There are smaller projects and bigger projects. And projects receive co-funding up to 55%, and the field of nature and biodiversity, the co-funding rate is even higher. Next slide, please. There is significant competition in LIFE funds. Successful project needs time for preparation, and it should be well written and easy to understand. Next slide, please. Oh, here in this slide are pointed out some tips for preparing good project and some common problems that Commission has found. I won't stop here because the time is running out, and you will get slides after, and you can read the information later. Next slide. And for getting more information about LIFE program, please visit the LIFE website, where you can find core documents. In a LIFE website, you can easily find project database that is really good tool for getting inspiration and information about implemented projects. There are also Estonian and Lithuanian websites where you can find information in your national languages, and the documents for next program period is not adopted yet. The Commission hopes that the new LIFE regulation and the multi-annual work program will be adopted in the middle of next year. But despite that, the Commission is looking at the solution how to open the calls in spring 2021. And the details about the call and call documents will be available in spring, hopefully before the call will be open. And next slide. Please feel free to contact with your national contact points. There are LIFE national contact points in every member state. Here you can see some of them from Lithuania and Estonia. But you can find the full list of NCPs from the LIFE website. The national contact points will help you to design good projects. They know the program and they are experts of their field. And the next slide, I will stop here, and I would like to thank you all for your attention and interest.
Thank you, Krista, very much. If you have some questions about LIFE program, please post them in the chat, because Krista is still here. And meanwhile, we got some questions about TRL levels, and especially for farm to fork topic. So farm to fork call, I assume TRL level 5 is the starting TRL level, and TRL level 7 is the finishing TRL level. So I would give the word again to my colleague Katrin, who could maybe comment the TRL levels of the farm to fork call.
Yes, thank you. I hope you can hear me again. So yes, the finishing TRL level needs to be 7. So the starting can be 5, but the starting TRL level is not specifically stated in the call text. So you can have probably a TRL level lower, but for the Green Deal in general, you have to check for each call area specifically, because different topics can have different starting TRL levels. Okay, I hope that clarified it. Thank you.
Thank you, it was excellent. Then we have one question about LIFE program. For the LIFE program, has the 45% co-financing to come only from beneficiaries involved, or is there any other method to manage the co-financing? Krista, could you please comment that?
Yes, the co-financing is for all project partners the same, and usually it's 55 for grant rate.
Okay, thank you. And I do not see any other questions. So I think we can conclude with the first part. If you have some more questions, you can always write to the chat, and we try to answer them at the end of the day. Or you can, of course, contact your local NCPs. But could we have the next slide, please? So here are again the contacts of national contact points. So you go to the web pages, you choose your country, and you see the list of NCPs, and you're very welcome to contact you. I'm sure we're very happy to get your questions. Next slide, please. And of course, we only can fund those proposals which we can understand. So thank you.